evening, I'm Ces Orenia Drilon.
And I'm Pauline Verzosa.
Tonight on The Big Story, the House of Representatives is on break, but there's no time off when it comes to issues hounding it. There are talks again of a brewing leadership change, while another congressman reveals a slew of bonuses for select House members.
And it's back to reality soon for many Filipinos. The Christmas and New Year holidays are almost over, with travelers returning to their homes. We check the influx of passengers in bus terminals and the airport in just a bit.
We'll also be speaking to a business leader about economic and investment prospects this year. Then, we sit down with a life coach to help us navigate the new year on a positive note.
Hanggang ngayon, meron niyang MOOE monthly, okay? So number 1. Number 2, yung Christmas bonus, hindi ko alam kung tinatawag ng Christmas bonus yan. Pero again, ever since naging congressman ako, every time magbe-break, merong hindi bonus ang tawag eh. Hindi ko alam kung anong tawag nila doon eh. But every time magbe-break, so ibig sabihin, ang break namin is yung papuntang Undas, di ba? Yung first break namin, kung magsimula tayo ng SONA, so mag-resume kami SONA.
Yes, sir.
Hindi, SONA. Tapos, bago mag-undas, dapat tapos na kami sa budget. So may break kami doon. Meron yan. Okay? Pagtapos namin magbe-break ulit kami pang Christmas. Meron yan.
Hindi, undas.
Hindi. Yun yung first yung undas eh. Yung first yung undas, di ba?
Yeah.
Yun yung first yung undas. Yun yata yung sinasabi na nasabay doon sa budget. Yung second break namin is Christmas break, di ba?
Yeah.
So, meron ulit yan. Pagdating ng Christmas, babalik kami. Easter break, Holy Week.
Easter. Yeah, Holy Week.
Holy Week. Meron ulit yan. At yan, sasabihin ko ulit, hindi yan nasimulan na yung administrasyon na to. Ever since naging congressman ako, meron lang ganyan.
Two denials coming out of the House of Representatives today that a supposed coup is in the works and that there are alleged Christmas bonuses for select lawmakers. First, the alleged plan to oust the current House leadership. An article by Politico.com published December 30 claimed that some House members have described Speaker Bogie D as worlds apart from his predecessor, Martin Romualdez, who made it a point to engage everyone. D is also allegedly keeping the public in the dark about lower chamber affairs, going as far as prohibiting lawmakers from media interviews without his permission. But according to House Assistant Majority Leader Zia Alonto Adyong, there's no threat to D's leadership. Adyong also denied having to secure clearance from the House Speaker's office to do press interviews.
I think si Speaker D goes down to the level of each of the members of the House. In fact, you would see him during plenary session, associating himself with the members of the House. So, di ko alam kung saan nanggagaling yung report na yan. But Speaker D is not only on top of everything, but he is also go down to the level of the members of the House. I mean, nakikipag-usap siya ng maayos.
For Adyong, the coup talks are just a demolition job against the House of Representatives. In December, congressmen signed a manifesto of support for D amid reports linking him to the flood control scandal. And then there's the allegation of Batangas 1st District Congressman Leandro Leviste that some congressmen were rewarded with a 2 million peso Christmas bonus for signing the 2026 national budget. House leaders have since denied the issue.
What you saw during the ratification, that's the opposite of what the balita were saying, di ba? Kaya sabi ko, saan ba nanggagaling ito? I mean, I think the people who are actually creating and fabricating all these lies, because they see despite the attacks leveled against the House, we remain to be stable and united. And I think the detractors want to see a gap and a fraction happen and division happen within in our ranks.
Now, still on the so-called Christmas bonus, our sister program Storycon was able to speak to Navota's representative Toby Tiangco about it. Storycon host Ed Lingao is with us now. Bok, may pasabog na ginawa si Congressman Tiangco kanina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was actually quite surprising. But from his point of view, kasi it's surprising that it's not talked about. According to Congressman Tiangco, matagal nang gawain itong mga bonuses.
Break bonuses.
Break bonuses. Well, we only coined the term kanina kasi kanina he didn't know what to call it. So we settled on break bonus kasi it's given daw every break time and they have at least 3 breaks per regular session. The Undas break, yung Undas, the Christmas break, and then yung Holy Week break. Each time they go for a break, they're given a certain amount. The last he got was 1.5 million undas. And he understands that everybody should have gotten that. The next break was Christmas, hindi pa raw niya nakukuha. So hindi niya alam kung may dahilan kung bakit di niya nakuha. O kung may nakuha
Pero
ba.
ang sinabi niya, I watched a portion, ang sinabi niya, maski yung Holy Week or Easter break, meron din.
Eh, yung Holy Week break.
O iba pa yung undas.
Oh, undas is araw ng patay.
Holy Week is Easter. It's another break.
Yeah. Remember, if you look at the calendar, dapat October 3 nag-undas break, which is
correct.
there's also more or less a time na nagbotohan sila for the budget. So ang tingin niya, baka yun ang refer ni Congressman Lebiste na the bonuses were meant to make them vote for the budget. Kasi October 9 or 13 ang botohan ng third reading ng budget. Then Christmas break, and then after, by March, I think, by March, then they go into the Holy Week break.
Holy Week break, yeah.
But Bok, the question is, what were the bonuses for? I mean, kung they were given every time Congress goes on break, para saan daw yun?
Magbabakasyon ka na, may bonus ka pa. Di ba?
Ang biro ko nga, hindi yan,
Sana all.
Hindi yan break bonus break baon yan Well, this was what was told to him in 2010 when he was first elected as congressman. So it goes back to 2010 kanyang reference point.
It's a standard practice. It's an SOP.
Sabi nga niya, panahon ni Pinoy, panahon ni Duterte, panahon ni Bongbong Marcos, they were always given these bonuses. He does not know the previous administrations because he was not yet congressman then. So 2010 ang reference niya, sabi niya, the first time he was given this bonus or break bonus, he was told na because you're going on recess, you're going back to your districts, presumably, ito pang gastos mo sa distrito mo.
Pero bahala ka na doon. Pwede mong bulsahin.
Well,
diba?
that's the thing with it Walang liquidation. All you have to do is sign a voucher, you're given a check, and it's all up to you. It's like the MOOE. The MOOE, which basically is liquidation via certification. You just certify that you used it in accordance with law.
So in principle, Bok, it's for district operational expenses. It's meant to be used for the district. So kung may Christmas party, tama ba?
Well, ganito. Pwede mong hiwalayin, kasi that falls under MOE.
Okay.
Under MOE...
So hindi yan.
Iba
Magkaiba.
pa.
Under MOE, you have district operational expenses. For example, every month he gets 718,000 for district operational expenses and 240,000 for miscellaneous and extraordinary expenses. Combine mo yung dalawang yon, that's MOE. That's almost $1 million a month. Iba pa yon doon sa
Break bonus.
break baon or break bonus. Break bonus is kasi pupunta ka sa distrito mo for the break, matagal ka sa distrito mo, ito pera, bahala ka na kung anong gagawin mo dyan, pero presumably it's for the district.
Yeah. But it's up to you. It's up to the discretion of the congressman how to spend this
Generally,
bonus.
Generally, that's the case. So, if you're a good congressman, you could use it for your district, medical missions or whatnot, or you can use it for your wallet. Who knows?
Yeah.
In the end, all you have to do is refer to what you signed sa voucher mo na you signed it and you're using it for legal purposes.
This 2 million that Congressman Leviste is talking about, did he get it?
Ang sabi ni Congressman Tiangco, he did not get anything for Christmas. So if Levis is referring to specifically a Christmas break bonus, wala raw siyang nakuha and he does not know why. Sabi niya, he supposes that everybody gets these bonuses but there are times when they don't. Like for example, sabi niya, hindi ko lang alam kung aaminin ng iba, sabi niya, pero yung mga hindi pumirma doon sa impeachment ni Sara Duterte earlier last year, hindi rin nakakuha ng kanilang Holy Week bonus.
Kasi hindi siya pumirma di ba?
I suppose
So
yun ang
hindi,
hugot
hindi niya nakuha.
So there are times daw na nangyayari yun. Of course, nothing is said.
So, finally, parang there are representatives willing to break this kind of code of silence or, disclose, being transparent about all this money.
That's what he was trying to emphasize kanina. Na it's about time that Congress comes clean about it and talks about it because it's something that's given regularly to them anyway by all administrations. So walang pwede magsabi na hindi kami kasali dyan na administrasyon. Everybody has been giving it to them since he was a
So,
congressman.
kahit makabayan party list,
Yun ang hindi natin alam. And that's something that we should ask them.
Yes.
And everybody else, whether you're LP or Akbayan or
Or the minority.
Minority, oo. But is it the same amount for every congressman?
He presumes that as well. But you have to also remember, si Toby Chanco, if I recall correctly, in 2010, he was still part of the majority, although he comes from an independent party na local. And he was also independent majority in 2016. So affiliated with the majority, but I don't think it was with the minority.
You also had the opportunity to talk to former COA Commissioner Heidi Mendoza.
Yeah. We confirmed with Commissioner Heidi Mendoza, na may ganung kalakaran nga na there is such a thing as liquidation via certification. And that goes back to a 2011 concurrent resolution passed by the Senate and of course also passed by the House. Well, this is how they termed it, affirming the long-held tradition that the COA does not have to go through or peruse the MOE expenses of the legislators. Ibig sabihin, all they have to do as legislators is to certify that all the expenses of MOE were legitimate. And that's as far as it goes. Ang sabi naman ni Heidi, as far as she knew then, it was acceptable to most auditors kasi they have to strike that balance between having to go through all the expenses. Ibig sabihin, pag may pinakain ba si congressman, kailangan papirmahin lahat ng pinakain mo. Hindi naman daw kaya yon. So you have to strike that balance between practicality and
Alam mo,
auditing.
naaalala ko, remember there was this scandal before, merong congressman who ate in this Japanese restaurant na pinaliquidate niya na ang mahal. Ang mahal. So siguro kaya naging ganyan na lang na, alam mo na, hindi natin nakikita.
But if you look at concurrent resolution number 10 of 2011, it says there it's only an affirmation of the long-held practice. So gawain ng kalakaran na to dati pa, even before that resolution was passed. In fact, the author of that was Ping Lacson in the Senate. And si Ping has always been very scrupulous with money. In fact, I think he was even saying after that controversy erupted na if need be, let's withdraw that resolution. But nothing ever happened from there.
Okay. So we need to dig deeper.
Yes, and we also have to look closer at how liberal we are with giving free rein to our legislators na parang okay lang.
Them. We have to demand transparency.
That's it nga di ba? Parang masyado ba tayo mapagtiwala?
Na ginagawa na yung perang nakita na nga natin no? Na,
kasi di ba, as politicos usually puhunan niyan laway. Pati ba yung pag-audit ng gastos nila, ang puhunan nila laway na lang na certified as legitimate.
All right.
There you go.
We thank you for being on our program.
Again.
One News Storycon host Ed Lingao. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. All right, well, in other news, the long holiday break will be over this weekend. And just like the Exodus rush, many are now starting to return to Manila or to their home provinces. And now let's have a look at the situation over at the Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange. And joining us from PTEX is our mobile journalist, Evan Tarinque. Evan, kamusta na ba ang mga biyahe dyan this Friday night?
Huli, nagsimula na nga magsibalikan sa Metro Manila yung mga kababayan natin umuwi sa kanilang mga probinsya para doon nga magdiwang ng Pasko at bagong taon. Simula nga kaninang umaga, tuloy-tuloy na yung pagdating ng mga provincial buses na bit-bit ay yung mga kapatid natin doon sa probinsya nag-celebrate ng bagong taon. Ayon sa ilang mga ating nakausap, inasahan na raw nila kasi yung matinding siksika ng mga pasahero sa darating na weekend. Kaya naman mas inagahan na nila ang pagbabalik sa Metro Manila. May mga pasahero rin na nagsabing mas pinili nilang bumalik ng maaga para makapagpahinga muna ang kanilang mga anak bago muling pumasok sa eskwela sa Lunes. Ayon naman sa pamunuan ng PITX, magpapatuloy ang pagdami ng mga pasahero pabalik ng Metro Manila hanggang Enero 5 matapos nga yung holiday break. Napansin din ang pagdami ng mga tinatawag na cross-travelers, mga pasahero sa Metro Manila nagbakasyon at ngayon ay babalik naman sa kanilang mga probinsya. Hindi katulad noong Christmas rush, mas mabilis na rin ngayon ang bili ng ticket kahit sa mga biyaheng papuntang Bicol Region. Sa kabila ng dumadaming biyahe, nanatiling mahigpit ang seguridad sa loob at labas ng terminal at patuloy ang operasyon mga assistance desk para sa mga pasaherong nangangailangan ng tulong. Ayon sa pinakahuling tala ng pamunuan ng PITX, umaabot na sa mahigit 500 ng mga nakumpiskang ipinagbabawal na gamit sa loob ng terminal. Huling inaasahan niya na mas dadami pa yung mga kapatid natin na uuwi sa kanila pabalik dito sa Metro Manila ngayong Sabado, Linggo at hanggang sa Lunes. Huling.
Alright, well maraming salamat para sa report na yan. Mobile journalist Ivan Tarinque there reporting to us this Friday night from PITX.
Next week, it will be business as usual for the country with most of the workforce returning from the 2-week-long holiday. And joining us to talk about the business side of 2026 for the country is Makati Business Club Executive Director Rafael Apa Ongpin. Good evening and Happy New Year to you, Apa.
Hi, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you both.
Wow, that's a beautiful backdrop. It's not a real one, I suppose.
Well, it's actually the view from my apartment, but yeah, it's a still.
All right. Okay. Well, Apa, the business prospects don't look too promising for 2026.
Well, yes and no. I mean, we've had the corruption scandal, but one of the learnings from this thing is that corruption does not affect the macroeconomic measures of our economy, right? And what happened was we had a slowdown in GDP growth in the third quarter, but it was because precisely government restricted spending on these infrastructure projects. It was not a direct result of the corruption itself, right? It was a result of the So the indicators for next year, macroeconomic indicators at least, are all still pretty good. We've had a year of low inflation. Well, before the corruption scandal, the highest GDP growth in the region, no? And business is doing okay. The thing about macroeconomic figures is they don't tell the whole story, right? When you have GDP growth like this, in our scenario, it's really mostly rich people getting richer. It's not the poor getting less poor or joining the middle class. Unfortunately, GDP growth can't measure that. And that remains the objective of development, no? That should be the government's objective. It certainly is the Makati Business Club's. We are trying to, for growth to affect the poorest of the poor. We're trying to help them grow and get out of poverty. And that should be our focus.
Well, Apa, it's always good to start the year with optimism. But heading into 2026, would you say businesses are more conservative, more cautious? And which sectors look promising?
Well, no, I would not say businesses are going to be more conservative or cautious. They're going to be, it's business as usual for these people. The stock exchange did not really do very well. We had a lot more losers in the blue chips than gainers, no? And that's because, people held back on investment and on growth and so on. I think, they've learned their lesson, and they're going to, be a little more aggressive in 26.
Where do you see the growth, or where will people put in their money?
Well, that's hard to say. I'm not an economist, but there are certain areas where there's good growth. The energy sector is one. We really need better, cheaper, and more sustainable energy, and there are people who are willing to invest in that. No?
Well, Apa, you actually said this pretty candidly before, that it's not like there was this big wave of foreign interests when it comes to investments here in the Philippines, even before the flood control corruption scandal erupted. So aside from corruption, I mean, what else is holding back investors from being interested in the Philippine market?
I would say that we're losing out in terms of manufacturing, particularly to our ASEAN neighbors, especially Vietnam, because they have cheaper labor, they have cheaper power, and they're more stable politically. And corruption, they all have some measure of corruption, but in those particular areas, they're better than us. So people are bringing their factories to Vietnam, not to the Philippines.
Well, I hate to bring the corruption issue back, but what is the demand of the Makati Business Club with respect to how the government is tackling this issue? The ICI has but one member left, and we have not heard from the Ombudsman, who promised that cases will be filed at least by Christmas. So any demands from the Makati Business Club?
Well, we support the government's drive against corruption. Obviously, there have been a lot of obstacles, like the resignation of these very, these appointees that we felt were excellent. No, but what we've decided to focus on in the last quarter of the year is the budget, because that's where corruption is really embedded. No, so we've had our teams from the Philippine Budget Coalition, and a lot of them are academics and political scientists and data scientists, look over that budget with a fine-tooth comb and recommend, for instance, to the president himself, as well as to the congressmen and senators, that certain line items in that budget need to be taken out. These risky insertions and stuff like that, because they can easily become, they can easily be plundered, is what we're saying. There's not a lot of audit trail for these things. So we've focused our efforts for this period on the budget, because that's where it all takes place. That's where the magic happens, ika nga.
Yeah, well, speaking of the budget, Apa, it was actually the Makati Business Club who was one of the first to sort of blow the whistle on the 2025 budget. You called it hijacked. You said it still contained pork. But looking at the 2026 budget now, did we see improvements, especially when it comes to transparency?
Yeah, definitely there are a lot of improvements with transparency. Huge improvements, no? Still not as much as we wanted, but, and because of these improvements of transparency, we were able to see the efforts of particular sectors to try to insert, so now flood control is a bad word, infrastructure is bad. So what they're trying to do is worm their way into discretionary social welfare, which is pork barrels, basically handouts, right? And they want lump sums, and we're saying, hey, the Supreme Court has declared this illegal. You can't have lump sum discretionary funds.
All right, we'll have to end it there. Thank you for being with us. That was Makati Business Club Executive Director Apa Ongpin.
And we are just going to take a quick break, but coming up, there are reports that Ombudsman Boying Remulla was rushed to the hospital. Remulla addresses the rumor himself when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
Welcome back to the big story. Passengers have begun arriving at the NAIA as a holiday break winds down. Let's check the situation over there from mobile journalist Arles de los Santos. Arles, anong terminal ka ba nakatayo ngayon at siksikan na ba dyan?
Tess, nandito nga tayo ngayon sa Ninoy Aquino International Airport Terminal 2 kung saan mula kaninang umaga ay tuloy-tuloy yung pagdating ng mga pasahero ng mga domestic flights and abroad. Nakakita tayo ng mga schedule kanina. So far, on time naman yung kanila mga schedule at wala pang naitatala na delayed or canceled flight sa kabila ng pabago-bagong panahon dito. Kapansin-pansin kanina na hindi na nakanguso yung parking ng mga sasakyan na nag-unload at naglo-load ng mga pasahero dito. Ina-observe na nila dito yung parallel parking at yung bollards. Madami na din mga carts para sa mga baggage at mga wheelchairs at upuan. Higit lalo doon yung wheelchairs para sa ating mga kapatid na person with disability. Pero kumpara kaninang umaga, mas madami talaga yung mga tao kaninang tanghali at mas madami din yung mga papaalis kaysa sa mga dumating. At sa huling talangan ng NAIA umabot for the 2025 sa 52 million ang recorded passengers para at ito daw yung highest ever passenger volume, no? At December 2025, nag-handle sila ng 4.86 million guests in total. Pero sa pagpasok ng 2026, no, nananatiling mataas na agad ang bilang ng mga pasahero dito. Para sa January 1, 2026, a total of 142,657 passengers ang naitala nga, kung saan 73,000 dyan ang sa international at 69,000 naman yung para sa mga domestic travel na 4.14% na mas mataas kumpara sa kaparehas na panahon noong nakaraang taon.
Kamusta naman yung bagong parking system dyan sa airport? Nagdudulot ba ng kaguluhan o paano?
At least sa pag-observe natin kanina, Ses, dahil kahit ako nag-park din dito, bago na may automated system na sila, no, at mas malalaki yung mga espasyo, meron na rin silang iba't ibang features, no, unmanned yung mga entry at exit points dito, kailangan na lamang pumindot at lalabas na yung ticket. And then for payment naman, may mga designated personnel para umalalay magbayad. May mga stop din, kagaya sa NAIA Terminal 3 na subukan natin doon. May teller pa rin naman, pero bago lumabas, wala nang nakabantay doon sa exit, no? I-scan na lamang yung QR code and then you're good to go, no? At pwede na rin magbayad sa pamamagitan ng cashless mode of payments. Pwede mga QR code or mga e-wallets na available sa publiko ngayon.
Alright, maraming salamat sa iyo. Thank you. Mobile Journal, Arles de los Santos, they are reporting to us live from NAIA Terminal 2.
Well, day 2 of New Year 2026, and Filipinos are optimistic of what lies ahead. Now, hope may be frail at this point, but it's something to hold on to, at least in the next 12 months.
Yung pag-asa, wala naman yun kung hindi ka magsusumikap sa buhay, di ba? Siguro hindi naman kailangan matakot. Harapin mo na lang kung ano yung meron na darating.
May pag-asa po. Pag-asa. Prayer ang kailangan lang po.
A face-to-face survey by the social weather stations conducted from November 24 to 30 found that 89% of Filipinos are welcoming the new year with hope. That's slightly lower than 90% in 2024 and 96% in 2023, making this the lowest reading in 16 years or since 2009. An expert said public sentiment has been weighed down by the flood control scandal and growing concerns over climate change issues that continue to affect daily life. These realities are reflected in what Filipinos say they are manifesting this year.
Sana po, maibalik na nila yung perang ninakaw nila.
Maayos na yung sa flood control, yung about doon. Ang laking pera nun sayang kung sa ibang bagay na punta, di ba? Gaya ng mga healthcare natin, mga ganun sana. Tapos mas maayos na kalsada.
World peace.
World
peace. Iwas kurakot.
Now, meanwhile, some communities chose to welcome the year with creativity and color. In Tondo, residents held a costume party with children dressed as cartoons, anime, and fantasy characters. One standout costume, a crocodile labeled Buwaya ng Senado, served as a pointed reminder of public frustration over corruption. Now, others expressed hope through handmade decorations, and then there are hard-earned lessons from the past.
Sana maging mapayapa. Ay sana maging healthy tayo lahat at lahat ng magnanakaw ay makulong na po.
Makagraduate po with honors po. Mas mag-improve as a person po.
We all strive to be a better version of ourselves each new year. So we make resolutions and affirmations which sadly we don't get to keep sometimes. How do we not stray from our values and vision? Let's get tips from life coach Mike Celis, who joins us live on the set. He's a multi-awarded global master coach and an international best-selling author. Wow, 7 books?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So, Filipinos are really generally optimistic.
Yes.
Yung survey after survey shows. Pero ngayon, parang may 1-point drop. 89%, but still high.
Yes.
Yeah. So how do we carry that optimism over to the end of 2026?
I think it's really about, taking in consideration that whatever happened in the past does not necessarily mean that it would repeat itself now by choice. Okay? We have a choice to actually look beyond what happened and learn from it and then start all over again, keeping in mind that it's all up to us to make the changes that we want in our lives.
Yeah. What are the tips na parang, kunyari, like me lang ha? One resolution is I want to walk the dog every day. Today, I didn't. Umulan eh.
You're excused
na
for
agad.
today.
I know it's like a very mundane example, but when it comes to bigger things,
I think first things first, there's no big or small goals. For as long as you really believe in it and there's value for you, don't let anyone judge you.
Okay.
Sa akin, big thing yun. Nakakatulong na yun, di ba?
Oh, healthy.
The calories,
Oo.
di ba? So yun.
Yeah.
I think it's really about holding on to why you want to do it in the first place. So if you've been wanting to impress others or, to just show them that you're right or to look good in the eyes of others, then it would not last long. However, if you
pang
focus...
Instagram lang,
Di
di
ba?
ba?
For the gram, I walk my dog today. So hindi pwede yung gano'n, di ba? Hindi siya sustainable. But if I want to be healthier in my own little way, actually that works better. Yung small steps, rather than biglang magka-crash diet ako dahil in 1 month, 10 pounds lower. So parang gano'n.
But what if we encounter setbacks, challenges, coach, no? So kunwari, you weren't able to continue nga your resolution, February pa lang, naku, hindi mo na natuloy, and you get frustrated, di ba? How do you approach
I think it's
that?
really about admitting first that you are lagging behind. Diba? Kasi most people, after they
In
get...
denial.
Oo, diba? After they get frustrated, it can't be. I planned for this since last year. But again, there are things beyond our control eh. However, what we should do is pivot. Diba? All together. Na parang isipin natin, why did we actually decide on that on the first place and how can we work on it based on our current space and not based on our expectations. Kasi sometimes we don't meet our expectations and that's okay. We have to be kinder to ourselves.
Ito, I wanted to get your take on this, Coach Mike. Ano? Some say na pag New Year daw, wag na daw tayo dun sa mga resolutions, yung mga papayat ako, exercise ako, but instead, set intentions.
True.
So
Isn't
whether
that one
it's
and the same?
No, you say like this year I'm gonna be more, I'm gonna surrender myself more, I'm gonna be braver, I'm gonna be parang ganon.
Okay. I always tell my clients na parang dapat meron kang theme every year.
Okay.
So if it's all about expansion, if it's all about letting go, di ba parang meron kang focus sa parang, okay, at the end of the day, whatever happens, dapat tatanungin mo sarili mo, is it all about expansion? Kasi kung hindi, then shrug it off. Diba? It helps you focus your thoughts and address your actions accordingly in alignment with those.
So, do you advise that we have a checklist, a journal, or something to write this all down for better absorption?
Based on studies talaga, it really helps if you journal your thoughts, whether good or bad. Because it gives you the opportunity to go back to it kapag nag-stabilize na emotions mo. Diba? So it helps. On a personal note, I keep a gratitude note on my phone. So binilang ko last
So,
year.
sa telepono lang?
Yes. Random thoughts, example, may parking ako dito. O kaya, they gave me a discount. Big or small, or I want something. Parang ganon.
Well, ano effect nun, Coach, sa'yo?
I counted, nitong bago mag-New Year, 4,078 blessings, big and small. So it made me feel na parang, oh my God. So regardless of what happened to me through the years, I'm still doing a good job. And it inspired me to aim for more. Diba? So, yeah.
Little things, no?
Yes.
Really make you happy. Eh?
Yes.
I think one thing that I try to practice is before sleeping. You think of 3 things na you're grateful for.
That's beautiful because that helps you sleep better.
Wala akong problema sa sleeping, sa
Ang
totoo lang.
swerte ko, di ba? Parang ganun
Parang
tayo.
maliliit na bagay lang. Parang,
Actually,
doesn't
maganda
have to
rin
be.
anytime, not even before you sleep. Like ako in the very random, like here, when I got here, there's parking. There's a couch near. I got to talk to one of my, idols since then. So, yeah. Yeah,
And it
so little
reminds you
things.
to be grateful and grounded, diba?
I think that's one of the problems kasi that we have. We tend to equate our happiness with the big milestones, diba? With life-changing things, and then we get frustrated if we don't reach them. However, we must always remember that happiness is where we are, by choice.
Yeah, so be mindful of
Yes.
what's happening like right now.
Yes. And contrary to popular belief, whether good or bad, you still grow from it. It depends on how you see the situation. So sometimes it can be really bad and you feel sad. It's okay. Do not ever invalidate your feelings. However, look beyond that a day after. Would it still matter a week after? 3 days?
Ito, Coach Mike,
Yeah.
2025 was a challenging year for a lot of people. And for those feeling stuck, feeling burnt out, what's one thing they can do in this brand new year? And how do you know when it's time for a big shift in your life?
Okay. Diba?
Ang lalim. Asking for a friend.
may nag-prepare dito. but kidding aside, I think you don't have to wait for the new year to have a big shift in your life. You just have to decide,
Oo nga naman.
diba, that you deserve it. It's really up to you at any given point in time kasi hodang December yan, April, May. What makes you feel happy, complete, and fulfilled? If it's missing in your life, then maybe it's time for you to reflect and recalibrate and choose to do all the things that are under your control. Because most of the times we feel anxious because we are trying to control everything around us, thinking that, we could, but we couldn't.
No, here's this one thing. For instance, it's really frustrating, the situation of our country.
Amen.
And all of us, we want change. But you can't control these things. And it can be depressing. It can be disheartening. Diba? Kayod ka ng kayod, bayad ka ng bayad ng tax mo, etc. And then you have this whole, it's depressing.
True.
And then you cannot do something about it, really. How can one address
I
this?
think it could start by actually taking a stand. Do not equate what you can do with the results it would have.
Okay.
Equate it with your intentions. That's what you said earlier. I may want to post whatever I feel. Whether the people involved read it or not, that's not the point.
Okay, so paano nga?
Ayun, it's all about you doing whatever little thing you can, taking a stand. Example, you can post about it, you can actually, do something about it by supporting other people, but not necessarily,
Don't be helpless.
Yes,
Don't
because you're not.
feel. Okay.
You're not. You would be surprised.
Talaga ba? We are helpless.
May mga nadi-discover, ha? Pag ganon.
Hindi, pero marami ring takot lumabas dun sa comfort zone
Correct
nila, diba?
naman.
They're afraid to put themselves out there. So what advice can you give for those who want to be more brave?
I think it's all about, taking in consideration, at the end of the day, what do you owe yourself? Diba? What decision would your future self be proud of that you can make today? So, doon ako naniniwala. If you anchor it on a very big purpose and you actually do whatever little steps to help you get there, no problem to stop you.
Okay, there's a question here I'm going to read off our prompter. An interesting article on time.com said, we need so-called nudge words instead of resolutions to keep us on track for the year. Examples are these touchstone words, self-empathy, balance, peaceful, playful, prosperous.
I think it's in alignment with what I said earlier about having themes, diba?
Themes.
About the year. So it's all about what do you want to achieve at this point in time that you feel you have control over of. Yan.
So medyo the same theme.
Yes,
Oo
yes.
nga, no? Parang playful,
Oo.
fun.
I want to become more playful this year or more relaxed, di ba? Kung stress na stress ka,
Or
agit
bring
ka.
out the child in me, my inner child. Mga ganun.
Naku, ang dami magsha-shopping niya.
Ha? Talaga?
Hinihil yung inner child
Totoo.
nila eh.
Very good excuse.
I mean, it's up to you,
retail
whatever
therapy.
brings you joy, di ba? And would make you
True,
feel
true.
complete.
Okay, in closing, Coach, who are these people who need life coaches?
Actually,
Kailangan ba maging magka-problema ka
Okay.
para magkaroon ng life coach?
that's a very
What
good
are the
question.
benefits that
Okay.
Pawi
Yeah.
and me can have from going
Actually,
to see
anyone can, avail of life coaching, and everyone needs it because it helps you get from where you are right now to where you want to be. It gives you the clarity that you want, the motivation that you need, and the accountability partner that would support you along the way.
I like that, yung accountability
Yes.
partner. Kasi nasabi mo na.
Oo. Di ba yun na
So,
yun?
kailangan mo ng pangatawanan yung sinabi mo.
If you only have one person who believes in you, you would be surprised about the things that you can do. And those are the things that my clients actually tell me because I'm lovingly pushy by nature. Meaning, sabi mo yan, gusto mo yan, hindi natin pwedeng iwanan yan. So I think it adds value if you have big dreams to pursue or you just want to work on yourself.
Right. Kasi you can make excuses for yourself eh. Kasi,
And with no one to stop you,
Yeah.
trust me, you'd go even further down. Yeah.
and how many clients do you have?
Right now, so
Yeah.
I have like 60.
Wow! How do you handle all these people?
No. Oh, I have a Calendly account, so they just schedule there. Some are on a regular basis, some are on a monthly. But most of them are like with me for 5 years already. And
Are you
so,
still accepting new clients, Coach? Well, where can they find
I
you?
only accept like 3 clients per month, 3 new clients. However, if the slots are full, I really don't because I'm also doing a lot of things on the side.
Yeah. They'll be shortchanged naman, diba?
Yes, and I don't want that.
But
I go
do
for quality.
you refer other coaches?
I refer to other coaches and I also refer to psychiatrists and psychologists if needed.
Okay.
Because there are some cases that are beyond my expertise, so yeah, and medication is needed. So
Thank you so much.
thank you. I enjoyed this conversation.
That was life coach Mike Celis. This is a big story on One News. E-tricycles and e-bikes are now banned on major highways in Metro Manila. That and more stories are still ahead. Do stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Here are other stories making headlines on the second day of 2026. For the first time in 7 years, the government is operating under a reenacted budget while Malacanang reviews the 2026 General Appropriations Bill. In a statement, Executive Secretary Ralph Recto assures this will not disrupt state operations. He says the review of the spending bill is necessary to ensure it reflects fiscal discipline. President Bongbong Marcos is expected to sign the 2026 budget on January 5 or a full week after Congress ratified it. Budget watchdogs have warned that the outlay still contains soft programs like MAIFIP and AIX that are vulnerable to political patronage. But once again, Recto says they are checking for the legal and technical requirements of the budget.
Now, meantime, Ombudsman Boying Remulla is making no direct denial that he was recently rushed to the hospital. In a message to 1PH anchor Cheryl Cosim, simply said, and we quote, "I'm in great shape, thanks." His brother, Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla, told reporters that the Ombudsman played golf this morning and even had dinner with his family. Assistant Ombudsman Miko Clavano, meantime, called the news of Remulla's hospital visit as fake news. When he was still Justice Secretary, Remulla had a few health challenges. In 2023, he underwent a quintuple bypass heart surgery, and in a News 5 interview in October last year, he revealed having fought leukemia at the time of his surgery. But Remulla said that he had already recovered from the illness after 2 cycles of chemotherapy, total body radiation, and a bone marrow transplant. And e-tricycles and e-bikes are banned on major highways starting today, January 2. This morning, motorists got their first warning, but by the afternoon, traffic enforcers already issued tickets to violators. E-trikes and e-bikes are prohibited along EDSA, C5, Rojas Boulevard, and from Quirino Avenue to Magallanes near SLEX. LTO Chief Asik Marcos Lacanilao tells True FM that the policy is necessary to protect small vehicles from getting into accidents.
Sabi ko nga sa mga enforcer natin, gabayan pa rin na maitabi nila, maialis sila doon sa national, yung major roads. Pero yung mga matitigas ang ulo na yun nga nagka-counterflow pa, hulihin na yan. Yung iba naman may lisensya, yung iba naman at wala talaga silang lisensya, ay mai-impound po yan.
Meantime, thousands of Catholics and Black Nazarene devotees are flocking to Quiapo Church exactly 1 week before the annual traslasyon. We get the latest on the ground from mobile journalist Fatima Baduria. Hi Fatima, Happy New Year to you. Kamusta naman ang sitwasyon dyan?
Happy New Year, Steph. Alam mo, marami pa rin tao rito at dumagsa nga kanina ang mga tao dito sa Minor Basilica and National Shrine of Jesus Nazareno o Quiapo Church. Araw kasi ng debosyon sa Nazareno tuwing First Friday, lalo pa ngayong araw na hindi lang unang biyernes ng buwan, kundi ng buong taon. Kaya simula umaga, maraming nagtsagang pumila para makapasok sa loob ng simbahan. Kanina kahit maulan, mahaba ang pila mula Plaza Miranda patungong Villalobos Street sa likod ng simbahan. Bukod pa sa First Friday ngayon, isang linggo na lang din bago ang traslasyon kaya maraming nakikita sa mga aktibidad sa Quiapo Church. Kabilang na dyan yung pagbisita ng imahe ng Nazareno sa iba't ibang barangay sa Quiapo. Nagsimula ito kahapon sa Barangay 309 at dinala rin sa Barangay 306 at 307 kanina. Sa ngayon, nabawasan na ang mga tao rito sa Quiapo Church dahil katatapos lang ng huling misa ngayong araw, pero mananatiling bukas ang simbahan hanggang alas 12 ng hating gabi mamaya para sa mga gusto pang magdasal. At ganoon pa rin, pinapaalalahanan ng mga deboto na ingatan ang mga gamit dahil sa dami ng tao. Pero may mga kapulisan din naman na naglilibot dito para sa seguridad ng mga tao. At bukas, magsisimula ng alas 5 ng umaga ang unang bisa sa Quiapo at gaganitin din ang pagbabasbas ng mga replika ng Nazareno ng 1:30 p.m. sa tabi ng simbahan along Quezon Boulevard.
Alright, maraming salamat sa iyo. That was mobile journalist Fatima Baduria reporting to us live from Quiapo in Manila.
Okay, before we say goodbye tonight, I wanted to ask Ces, what's your theme for this year? Resolution, she's gonna try to walk her dog every day.
One of the mundane things, actually, the theme is growth.
Wow.
For my brand, di ba? I have
yes.
Yeah, I'm
Provinciana.
relaunching it this year
Growth.
on online. So yeah, growth.
Is there a date already?
There is a date.
Nag-promote him.
There
but
is a
growth,
date.
And also in all aspects.
Expansion.
Right? Expansion.
Yeah.
Ako, my theme for
Ikaw?
2026, abundance.
Ah!
Diba? Para
Parang,
swerte tayo
parang
lahat.
gusto ko yan, abundance.
Abundance in work, career, health, wealth, family, love.
Very nice theme. Ako, growth and expansion, abundance. Parang pareho lang.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Happiness. Well,
Let's ask later. Okay.
later.
Later.
And that will do it for us here on The Big Story, the second day of 2026. Thanks so much for watching.
We'll see you again on Monday at 8 p.m. We have a new time slot. Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time. Have a great weekend.
And coming up next is Play-by-Play with Andre Felix and Cheska Liton-Calao. Hi, guys!
Happy weekend.
Anong mga
Chibos.
themes nyo?
Ano, no?
Wag daw resolution. Better na you have a chosen theme.
Theme?
Yeah, for the year.
Ako, progress, not perfection. Lalo na with work, with life, and also sa running. Kasi, syempre, di ba, ang daming iniisip kung kailangan ganito, ganyan. Progress, just, you have to be better. Kumbaga, you should be better today than you were yesterday.
Wow.
Nice one.
Check. Oh, after my 2025? I am just going to live my life. Thank you.
Nice.
Yun lang yun naman talaga. Maganda yan, live life.
Very
to the
nice.
fullest. Thank you. Happy weekend, Ses and Pauline. And ganda ng mga changes ngayon, ha? Pero medyo late na tayo. Okay, bye-bye na. Start na kami. Tonight, on our show, we've got results from 5 NBA games, plus a preview of the PBA Philippine Cup semis, which will already begin on Sunday.
And we've got basketball star Gabe Norwood live in the studio to talk about his retirement from the PBA after 17 illustrious years.
I'm Andre Felix.
And I'm Cheska Liton-Calao.
And here's tonight's play-by-play.